Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Focus. Man, it's early. Still, we're happy to be here. Got Cardell Dudley here. I'm Wilson Tarpate Jr. We got Damo Rowe over here to the right, a little bit off screen, our social media guy. All right, Cardell. Been a busy 24 hours at Capital One last night. So I guess we should do the right thing and start with the Wizards segment.
No doubt, man. Go ahead.
I was going to say they fell to the Nuggets last night. We're down the stretch now. What is it, under 10 games now to the playoffs? Or is it 10? Is it exactly at 10?
I just don't like what I see, man.
Okay.
Scott Brooks kind of touched on it. It's a lack of urgency going on.
Yeah.
You got to look at a lot of things outside the, the play. Before the preparation, after games, the ownership, the professionalism all around. I don't see that right there. And part of me is, kind of happy because I think people really see how valuable and how good John Wall is, what he brings to that team and that organization. Whether it was good or bad, what he did, what he does, he's professional. He faces the music. When it's good, he there. And what I like about him, no matter the odds, he feel like he can win.
Yeah.
He's competing to pull out the win. I don't see that type of belief in this team right now. And, last night was a frustrating loss because it was definitely a winnable game. But when you give up, Jamal Murray tortures you for 20 in the first half, and then Will Barton picks up the slack, give you 18 in the second half. Jokic does what he does. He's a star. People need to just recognize what he is. He's one of the best centers in the game. Only 23, so we can be dealing with him for a long time. And they're fighting for their playoff lives. Why isn't the same intensity matched by the entire team? Why is it just coming from certain players? It's frustrating. There's no more excuses. Y'all at home. But they need John Wall back. They need him back bad, and that should be clear as day.
I mean, I think you said everything needs to be said, and that's one of the things that old saying. Sometimes you don't realize what you have until it's gone.
Right.
I think this is literally the perfect saying for what's going on in Washington right now. I think sometimes since John's kind of been consistent from day one since he's been here, and sometimes what people do, and when people bring that type of consistency, you often forget, or you undervalue what they bring to the table, especially on the defensive end. Point guard is a really important position. We hear all the time. That's the tip of the spear on the defensive end, and this is not a knock on Sato or anybody else. It's just that's what makes John special. When he's engaged defensively, it permeates throughout the whole team. One thing that we don't see right now, there's no rim protection. What we saw earlier in the year was, how many times did we see the Wizards sometimes, they lacked a little bit of life. John comes away with a help side block. And then, the building supercharged, the team's on 10, and they're ready to go. Those types of defensive plays are missing right now. The times, we might get a steal, throw down a big left-handed dunk, and, everyone's up. You're not getting those type of plays. And I think his overall mentality, it's what's missing. Some of the things that people may not like him for, those are the things the team needs. A lot of times people overlook, and this is not a player comparison at all, so I'm saying this before people take what I say out of pocket. But you know how the Warriors look without Draymond Green around? They look like they're kind of sleepwalking. Right. They're void of their soul.
Right.
That's what the Wizards look like without John. That fire is not really there. That spark, and for sure that edge is something that they're missing. And even defensive, we know when that team gets stops, they're a pretty good transition team. Last night, Denver took care of the ball well. There's only 10 turnovers. And I want to give credit to Denver, but at the same time, I think some of it came to a lack of urgency on the defensive end by Washington. You have length. You have good wing players that can – there was a difference in ball pressure yesterday. You saw, like, in the first half, and sometimes in the fourth quarter, Denver was really up in the Wizards' perimeter player. You could tell the ball pressure is outstanding when offensive players are catching the ball 3-4 passes all above the three-point line, to start a possession. that means that ball pressures is at a very high level. Now, on the opposite end, you know, Denver's catching it, and for the most part, at least for the first half, Jamal Murray was very comfortable every time he caught the ball. Extremely comfortable, if not open. And that was just the difference. You saw one team really fighting to get into the playoffs, and you saw another one that is uber talented that isn't playing with a sense of desperation.
Here's some stats that kind of just jump out, man. Well, one, Denver knocked down 17 of 18 free throws.
Yeah.
So they didn't miss. They shot 94%. That's how you close games. And they only turned the ball over 10 times during the game. That's a reflection. It's not enough pressure defensively. Mm-hmm. How you only turn the ball over 10 times? And think about it. They got up 85 shot attempts last night, 34 threes, and only turned the ball over 10 times. I mean, but at the same time, had 25 assists. That's just crazy execution. They not feeling you. It's like there's no
resistance at all.
At all, man. There's no pressure.
Yeah.
That's a lack of defense, man. That's what Brooks. I mean, it's the same old stuff we've been talking about all year. Look, man, when the Wizards play defense and don't turn the ball over and they move the ball, they're hard to beat.
Very.
When they don't, they get beat. Like, you know what I'm saying? Then I'm looking, you know, Marquise showed up. He did well. Even Gortat, he's only playing 27 minutes, but he did well. He was actually perfect for the field. He was 4 for 4. He should have got more shots. He was the only one that could battle Jokic and contain him all game and stuff like that. Mahimi, he gave him a spark, 8 points. You know, Oubre 15. You know, he made some kind of mental errors, but he still brought 15. Bill had 24. It's the defensive end, and their bench overall is not playing well. Like Mike Scott, Jody Meeks to go donut. Mm-hmm. They need y'all. They can't afford it because who else gonna make up for that?
Okay.
So, and then on top of that, let's look at what they had. They was 10 for 14 from the free throw line, 71%. Their assists total 28, but they had 17 turnovers. They lost by 8 and had 17 turnovers. That's the problem.
Part. So the only place they lost was in turnovers. They shot better than Denver. Denver got more shots. The Wizards still shot better than them. The Wizards out-rebounded Denver. Again, it was literally the turnovers. That's how they're able to get – I think the margin for most of the game was Denver had 12 more shots.
And they had 3 more three-pointers, and they shot better from the they only missed 1 free throw, and they made more free throws. That's what equals 8. It's little things, man. Free throw shooting, turnovers, you give them second chance points. In the preview, I noticed that Denver is one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league. They're second. They actually held them to the average. They did a pretty good job, and that's Gortat. He just basically said, Jokic, you not going somebody else. You know what I'm saying? He just cleared them out. He played good. That you could see there was a focus because that's where they normally kill teams, right. And they only allow 8. So they did other things well. It's the same things, turnovers and defense. At this stage in the game, man, and with the scout report, like we always talk about, like wait till the scout report comes. It takes a few games.
And then it catches up.
And they got to see if you for real before they start game planning for you because it takes a lot of time. They're game planning for Tomas. He hasn't been the same the last few games. They're making it real tough on him. Mm-hmm. They putting athletic defenders. They putting long defenders. They bothering them. They pressuring them at half court, making them work and stuff like that. They going at him on defense to tire him out so he don't have all the energy to get those guys involved. They're basically trying to make him a jump shooter. So knock those down. That's all we gonna give you, and that's what they're supposed to do. So they have to figure out something. But like I said, man, they miss Wall bad, and I've been saying that. The fools who thought they were better without him it just really shows how many people don't know basketball who think they do. But they need that guy bad because some of the stuff that they're lacking, like you said, defensive pressure, run down blocks, even getting in the paint and set up. Like Gortat had 4 shots, but he was perfect. Wall would have recognized that as a point guard and kept feeding him because he had it going. When your bigs got it going, you got to feed the beast because that motivates him to play hard on the other end and stuff like that. When he only getting 4 shots and 20. Come on, man. You know, it happens. He actually was working on a double-double. He had 11 and 7, 27 minutes. Game 24, half a game was 24 minutes. So what if he play? You see what I'm saying? You got to recognize that. But Tomas still trying to figure stuff out because now the defense has done changed. So, Bill, when you got the ball, you got to see that. Ramon Sessions, you a vet. You got to see that. See what I'm saying? So, come on, man. Like, feed the beast. And you saw when Marquise got it going, they started giving it to him. Because he played like he was horrible in the first half. Then he turned it on that third quarter, which got them back in the game.
I think he had, 11 in the third?
Yeah.
He had 11 of his 15 in the third quarter.
You know what I'm saying? And actually did a good job taking Millsap out the game.
He did, and he was going at his neck offensively. He did a good job.
He did his job. Everybody else, I don't know.
So Paul Millsap wasn't a big factor.
At all.
So you kept Denver off the boards. Again, and this is how, as Cardell said, we're talking about the little things. This is how crazy. If you take the turnovers out the equation, the Wizards did well.
It's defensively, man, and I hate to call it out, but shooting guards for the Wizards. You allowed 20 points in the first half from Jamal Murray. He finished with 25. You allowed 18 in the second half from Will Barton. He basically closed the game. He finished with 23.
14
but here's
but
here's the other thing. A two-way player for the Nuggets, Torrey Craig. I'm pretty sure most people don't even know who he is. He came off the bench. He dropped 11 on 4 or 5 shooting, got 5 rebounds, 1 assist, no turnovers, 18 minutes.
And you know what the thing about him? I love what a lot of his points came at time. They were timely buckets. They were timely buckets.
He's a veteran. You can tell he's played overseas in the G League for years. He's a rookie, but he's an older. He's like 28, so he knows how to play the game and stuff like that. My point is, from that position alone, you got torched by 48, 59 points, man, from just that position alone. So look at our shooting guards, Bill, whoever. Come on, man.
Bill, Meeks. Yeah.
What's up?
You got to hold folks accountable, man. And as you said, on the offensive end, and I know everybody was getting excited during, when they got off to a good start while John was out.
Mm-hmm.
That's an elite level playmaker, and you're missing it now. As you said, Scott Report caught up. Teams are not going to let you just dribble until you get something. Like you said, they're pushing Tomas out. Mike was talking about, Mike could tell the difference last night. When Tomas first took over for John, he was able to get downhill, get downhill, hit the corner, get into the paint, and create trouble. Now, like you said, they want him just to be a jump shooter, and it's really affecting their offense. Because before, he was able to cut, and he'd get the ball on the cut, take advantage of a little guard. As you said, it's bigger defenders on you. At 6'7", and somebody guarding you 6'8", you no longer have that advantage in the paint. It's somebody 6'4" on you. And the fact that you can't shoot, it makes things that you're not a good shooter, it makes things a little bit easier. And the other thing when you talk about the bench, and this is something that another part of the game I think not having John affects. Earlier in the year, that bench, when it was flowing, who was kind of the playmaker for that bench? It was Tomas. Now that he's starting, you don't really have a facilitator off the bench. And as you said, Sessions, you're a vet. You got to kind of take up that role. But that's something that Tomas did very well coming off the bench earlier in the year, was he got easy looks for those guys.
And I keep going back to defense, man. They gave up 2 30-point quarters, man. I've been saying this all year when we talk at the arena. When I see 30 on the board, I get nervous. I'm like, with that.
That's been a routinely thing for you all year.
They got 32 in the second quarter, on the Nuggets did, and they got 30 to close out the game in the fourth quarter. And that's after the Wizards came back and outscored them 33-23 in the third quarter.
Yeah.
So they had all the chances in the world to get this victory, but their defense, like when is somebody gonna take pride? Like, no more. And the reason why they held on 23 points, like I said, Jamal Murray had 20 at the half. He didn't score in the third.
No, he finished with 5 for the game. He got one more bucket and a free throw or 2 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that Hail Mary.
So for the whole third quarter, the guy who had 20 was taking out the game. And as you said, that's when Washington got back in it. They regained the lead and then lost it, but they were only down by 2 heading into the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in the fourth, you were battling back. You even retook the lead again, and then Will Barton went off. That was when the Will Barton thing happened. Will Barton went on a personal 5-0 run, gave them a 6-point lead, and every time he scored, it was to give his team cushion, much needed cushion.
And he been ready to torch you since last summer.
Yeah.
He been working hard, man. Gary Harris out, so he's getting the minutes now. Yeah. That's the only thing that changed. The dude averaging 15, 4, and 4 off the bench. So you give him starter minutes, what you think gonna happen? It's just he should be in the conversation for most improved, especially if they make the playoffs, because it's his play. Like they're surging right now, and it's him with Gary Harris out. That's a big. You've seen, and that makes it even worse because Gary Harris is out.
Yeah.
So what happened? What would have happened if he was there? And now you in a situation right now. You fell to 6 because Philly is winning games, and Indiana won last night. So now Washington 6. So guess who they draw in the first round?
Cleveland, correct?
Mr. LeBron James.
Yeah.
And you really think he gonna allow y'all to beat him in the first round, even with Wall back? See what I'm saying? You see now. I mean, so fine. And then if Miami a game back, Milwaukee only 2 games back. So if y'all keep losing, it's a chance y'all can end up not in the playoffs because y'all playing around. messing around.
And the other thing is, the last thing you want to do going into the playoffs, I don't care what seed you are, is go into the playoffs playing bad. You don't want to back into
habits,
the playoffs, man. And those habits is something we've touched on several times this season. This is not the right time of the season to be having those issues. Like, it'd be a different thing if you're losing because you just missing a really talented player. But effort shouldn't not that intensity shouldn't be an issue right now down the stretch. It just shouldn't be an issue at all.
It's that too cool for school. But like I said, teams take on the identity of your leader. And who is the leader for the Wizards right now?
He's out. You know, and that's the thing. Everyone that was going crazy, this is what an absence of a franchise player looks like.
Mm-hmm.
This is just literally just what it looks like. For all the arguments or the nonsense that was being said, this is why when you have a franchise player, it's so important. This is why it's hard when teams are missing their franchise player to keep things afloat. It's incredibly hard. It's so much more than just what they, just the statistical things that they bring to the game. It's so much more than that.
But with that being said, that's still no excuse.
No, it's not.
Because Kyrie out, and I see the Boston,
they scrap.
Terry Rozier, their entire team play. Terry Rozier stepping up. Marcus Morris, he looking better than his brother. He had 30 last night. They beat the Blazers.
Marcus has been on one.
So they still getting it done.
But again, they're scrapping. No matter who's on the court.
But they have a lot of young, hungry players and professional vets. When I mean professional vets, they're not going to allow the youngins to get, no, we got work to do. Yeah. So, especially with this procedure where Kyrie got going on, they got to step up. So these youngins like, we going to just hold the fort down and do what we do. I don't know what the mentality of our team is. Just by looking at things, they thinking it's like, man, this team ain't that, they not that good. I mean, and that's what's irritating about the Wizards. They get up and go beat the same Celtics team in Boston.
That's healthy.
But you lose to the Nuggets team that's young and up and coming, but they don't, come on, man. It's just.
But you know what, and that's part of it sometimes, like in sports, is, sometimes people wonder why it's so hard for teams to take that jump. Mm-hmm. Because that part of that process, like that middle part of that process, where you click to, you talk about not cheating the game and respecting all opponents, that last part of that process is kind of tough. And that's why some teams can't complete that jump. But, the season's not over.
Oh, no. They got to get it together. Like you said, the bad habits are in. So
that's what I'm concerned
72,
about most.
They got 10 games left. Yeah. And even if they get it, they got the tiebreaker over Indiana. So if they catch Indiana.
And I think Philly as well.
No, I don't know. But I'm just saying, if they catch Indiana and pass them getting the 5th seed, you got to deal with Embiid and Simmons in the first round. I hear people saying the West is so much stronger than the East. It's no easy win in the playoffs right now for the East. You got to go to war. You got to deal with Greek Freak. You got to deal with D-Wade, Hassan Whiteside, and them boys. You got to deal with Victor Oladipo in Indiana and those guys who
Isn't that the fun about those matchups?
Philadelphia, I just talked about. Cleveland, you got to deal with the monster from Akron, Boston, Toronto. Come on, man. It's no easy out, man. And right now, and that's why even with the Cavs, I said we'll see when Kevin Love get back. And now you see it took them from they might get to the second round to now they should be the favorites to get out the East. Yep. Just that one player because of what he can do and bring to that team, along with what damage LeBron does.
It's kind of crazy when you bring back an all-star caliber player, huh?
But his skill set, man, and I think he finally has came into his own, figuring out who he is completely as a player, and it shows. And they just 3-point shooting like when they lost in the finals to the Warriors, he was just staying out there. Mm-hmm. On my jump ain't I'm going to the block. I'm wearing these little small fours out. Because against the Cavs, they got a mismatch wherever you want it. Either they're gonna have a big that's too slow to get out on the perimeter and deal with LeBron, or they're gonna have to have a smaller player who's too small to deal with Kevin Love on the block. Yeah. So pick your poison.
And that's one of those things. This is why, again, I love what you brought up about the East not being a cakewalk. Again, the last team I'd want to see in the first round for any team in the East is them little kids in Philly.
Shit on the Cavs too. Man.
Well, I mean, obviously with LeBron and company, but I don't want to see those two just because of what they're gonna take out of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you come out on top, it's gonna come at a price. And even if you beat Philly 4-1 or 4-2, it's gonna feel like you went toe to toe in a heavyweight fight because you got to deal with two things that you're not used to. We talk about with LeBron, the matchup problems LeBron causes with Kevin Love. Think about Ben and JoJo. That's a whole different set of things you got to worry about.
And don't think they coming in there just to be happy to be in the playoffs. They
And
they like, we trying to get everybody.
But you know
about
what?
it.
Think about what we're talking about right now, right? All the things we're talking about with Washington's lagging at the moment. We're not talking about those things with those kids right now. You know what I'm saying? Like the only thing, you know, they don't have that experience, obviously, but it's hard for me to believe that either of them are scared of this moment or scared of the experience. You know what I'm saying? It's just getting the experience.
Like they say, man, a lot of coaches preach energy, hustle, intensity. That's a skill too.
And that's something that they play with. And this is
our
why.
team here, sometimes they too cool for school, man. When
showing
up, I don't know why.
And the crazy thing is, they were at their best last year when they played with that fire, that hunger. And that's why it's just one of them things where Wall can't come back soon enough. If that's what it takes for them to play like that, you know, and this is the sad thing, is I honestly feel as soon as he gets back, that will return. But
I don't know, dog.
Not fixing the habits, just that mentality. But still, those habits are concerning.
I don't know, because I mean, I hate to say it, even when he was there, maybe he wasn't healthy, but even when he was there, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
They got a lot to prove, man. Yeah. And I'm not about to look at Brooks on this. No coach ever had to tell me to play hard. Dive on that floor, go get that rebound. Somebody need to stop. Yo, move out of the way. I got him. Like, who's stepping up in the huddle? Yo, Jamal Murray going off, man. I got him.
I'm going to put that fire out.
I got him. No, who's stepping up saying that? You know, Wall would say that. Yo. Oh, Kyrie, I got him. Move. I got him. Don't worry about him, coach.
LeBron was going off. He wanted that challenge, you know?
I mean, come on, man. You see what I'm saying? It's little things I just don't see right now.
Yeah, and again, we're not saying we're not issuing an indictment on the Wizards season. We're just simply telling you what it is and why we're concerned about their level of play at this point in time. You are watching The Focus. If you tuned in at the beginning of the show, thank you so much for tuning in. If you just tuned in, we have just completed our Wizards segment. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, I got some updates on the MLS side of things. We'll talk a little DC United. You're watching The Focus, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the focus. All right, we're gonna talk a little MLS here. Right now, we're only this is gonna be the fourth game of the season for DC United. They're currently in 8th in the East. Again, it's not the end of the world right now. We're 3 games into an extremely long season. Their record is 0-1-2. That's 2 draws on the year, 1 loss, and they have yet to win their first game of the season. Last week, as I told you guys, they got their second draw in their home away from home game. They got 2 home away from home games until Audi Field officially opens. I think last week I said Audi Arena or something. I'm tired and got stuff mixed up, but it's Audi Field. That opens July 14th. But last week at the Soccerplex against the Houston Dynamo, Luciano Acosta scored in like the closing seconds of stoppage time, a 7-minute stoppage time, to give DC United a much-needed draw. And even in that game, it's not that they played horribly, but little things. They gave up 2 of the softest goals in the world, which has been just like an issue for DC United all last season and a little bit this season as well. They just have a penchant for giving up just really, I know I said soft, but just really bad goals. Both came off bad passes back to the keeper, and, the opposing team took advantage of them. Again, their goal differential at this moment, they're -2. So they've given up 2 more goals than they've scored on the year. Again, there's nothing to be overly concerned. It's a new team, a lot of new pieces. You have to let some continuity take place before you can get there. It doesn't even look like they've officially settled on a permanent starting 11 at this point through 3 games. So again, it's not too much to take away from anything at this moment. Darren Maddox leads the team with 2 goals. So in 3 games played, he has 2 goals. Yamil Assad and Luciano Acosta. Luciano Acosta, sorry. So Lucho has a goal each, him and Assad. Today, DC United visits Columbus to take on the Crew at 6 p.m. The Columbus Crew are 2-0-1 on the year, and they're currently 2nd in the East. Former Galaxy attacker Giazzi Zardes is off to a pretty hot start. He has 3 goals in the last 2 games. He brings the type of there is cause for concern in terms of what he brings, the trouble he can cause for DC United this evening. Last week they had issues containing Albert Ellis of the Houston Dynamo, a really pacey player, long stride. I think the biggest difference between Albert and Giazzi, at least, in the past, was Ellis has a little bit better of a first touch, and that was on display last week. When he got on the ball, he got it in space, and he plays with a great pace, so he can get by you at any given time, and he caused more than enough trouble. He was one of the beneficiaries of poaching one of those bad passes played back by DC United. So, again, that is something to keep an eye on. Giazzi has that type of eye-popping pace that can cause trouble down the flank for DC United. There's several players missing from both teams due to international duty. Columbus will be missing their starting keeper, Zach Steffen, and forward Will Trapp. DC United will be without the services of O'Neal Fisher, a defender. We got Dane Kelly, who's gone as well. A midfielder, Zoltan Steiber, and Bruno Miranda will all not be present for DC United due to fulfilling their international team obligations. So that means for DC United, at least in the midfield, you should expect to see a little bit more of Ian Harkes and Chris Durkin. Chris Durkin, I wouldn't be surprised if, once that starting 11 gets settled on, if the youngster is able to wrestle a spot, if not at least some consistent minutes. He just has as a youngster, he just has a calm about him, and he's one heck of a passer. He put one pass on the money last week that I am still kind of in awe about. Again, looking into tonight's game, one of the things DC United has to avoid to just give themselves their best chance to secure their first result of this season, you got to avoid the stupid mistakes, the silly mistakes. You got to avoid the type of soft goals you've given up. Again, they haven't played horribly. It's just the soft goals are just that bad. We saw for a stretch last week, with Lucho and Yamil in. We saw them, combining and creating some things. And you saw on the attacking end that DC United has a little something to work with. The team still has to do a little bit of a better job in playing the ball out to both Darren Maddox and Paul Arriola in space so they can take advantage of the great pace that they both play with. But again, it's something that will come. You got to give them some time. But again, they take on the Columbus Crew tonight at 6 p.m. We're going to take another quick break. When we get back, we're going to take a look at some of these brackets on both the men's and women's sides. You are watching The Focus, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to The Focus. All right, man, NCAA Tournament has been fun. I know everybody is enamored with the men's side of the bracket with all the crazy upsets, so many crazy things that happen. Well, you know, we're going to do our part here to hold down the women's side of the bracket as well. Don't feel like it's being talked about nearly enough. But, you know, we do our best here to make sure they get their fair share of attention. So everybody already knows about the big guns on the women's side. But we're going to talk about two 11-seeded teams who are in the midst of a magical run. But let's catch you up with the teams that are in the Sweet 16 and trying to vie for a spot in the Elite Eight and then to the Final Four. Oregon State, got to give them credit, and that's the team for Terp fans, the team that Destiny Slocum went to. She's not playing this year, but they're out here hooping at this moment. What was that, Cardell?
No comment.
Hey, that shaking that head looks so painful. You good? It seemed like it came from a bad place, man.
Gino just need to stay away. We gonna leave it there.
Wow.
You're not allowed, Gino.
Hey,
Gino.
how you even?
No love, Gino.
Why do you do this? Like,
you gotta check in, Gino.
What did that man do to you? All right, so we had a really, really big upset. I mean, I won't say really big upset. But again, Oregon State, a 6th seed in the Lexington region, they took down Tennessee. Then they took down Baylor. So they took down a 3 and a 2 seed consecutively as a 6th seed. You got to give them credit. They beat Tennessee 66-59. Then they beat Baylor 72-67. Again, these are two marquee teams, marquee programs in women's basketball. And Oregon State took on the challenge and got them out the way. So Oregon State will be taking on the number 1 seed in that Lexington region. That's Asia Durham Company, the Louisville Cardinals, tomorrow at noon. So that's going to be a really good matchup. I implore you guys to tune in with arguably the best scorer in women's basketball. And I said arguably because Kelsey Mitchell is a walking bucket as well.
Right.
But Asia's the one still in the tournament, so we got to talk about Asia, not Kelsey. Arguably the best scorer in women's basketball. And it's a good team, and it's actually Oregon State's in the midst of doing something. They already took down 2 higher seeds. It is not out the realm of possibility that they can continue this run. So I need you guys to tune in tomorrow at noon. UCLA, all right, this is not like an underdog situation. Jordan Canada and company are doing their thing. They beat Texas. This was a 3 beating a 2. And then they're going to take on last year's runners-up, Mississippi State. That's going to be a great matchup tomorrow night at 7:30. That is a 1-3 matchup, and that is a chance to get to the Final Four. I'm sorry, to the Elite Eight. I'm so sorry. I have my stuff together. No, it's to the Final Four. All right. Told y'all, man, I'm not a morning person, struggling. So it's a chance to get to the Final Four. That's a big-time matchup. And for some people, I don't know if it's a matchup they expect coming out of there because, you know, Texas was a 2 seed. But again, this is not a surprise if you follow UCLA this year. Jordan Canada, I'm sure her and her teammates aren't trying to go out like that, in her senior season. So let's move on to Duke. They beat Georgia. This is a 5 beating the 4 seed. No big thing there, but they won by 26. So you got to give them credit for doing so. They will be taking on the number 1 seed in the Albany region and the number 1 overall seed in the tournament. Gino and them, I got to say it like that, so Cardell will be happy. But they take on Connecticut. That's going to be a good matchup. That happens today at 1:30. Moving down a little bit, here we go. I told you there was 2 special 11 seeds out here messing up, burning brackets. We got 11 seeded Buffalo. First, they beat 6 seeded USF. All right, not the biggest deal in the world to those who don't pay too much attention. Then they blew out 3rd seeded Florida State. Florida State is not a bad team by any means, evident by them having a 3 seed. They go on to take on last year's, the current reigning champs, South Carolina. So that should be a good matchup. South Carolina obviously has one of the best players in the country, and Asia Wilson, led by one of the best coaches in the country. Still, they've proven to be very battle tested. Again, they did not barely beat Florida State. It didn't come down to a buzzer beater whatsoever. They put up 102 points against USF. They followed it up with 86 points in a blowout at FSU. And you got to take them seriously. They proved that they deserve the respect. They shouldn't be, they deserve the benefit of the doubt here in this matchup. On to another 11 seed. We got Central Michigan. First, they took out 6-seeded LSU. And then they took down Kelsey Mitchell and Ohio State. When we talk about Asia Dirt, is arguably the best scorer in women's basketball. This is the other one. This is the walking bucket. Man, practically almost like a female version of James Harden here. Kelsey is you're going to see this year when she gets drafted, the type of impact she can have on a women's game on a professional level. But this is about Central Michigan. Big time win over Ohio State. All right, so they took down Ohio State, and they beat them 95-78. This wasn't a little win at all. And when they beat LSU, they won that by 9 points. But again, as we were talking about Buffalo, these 11 seeds want you to put some respect on their name. The big thing here is they're taking on one of the best young teams in the country, Oregon. Last year, Oregon is the team that put out Cardell's Maryland Terrapins, led by Sabrina Ionescu and then Ruthie Hebert. And they formed one of college basketball's best 1-2 punches. Literally out here like the female Stockton and Malone. They are crazy efficient. Ionescu is one of the best point guards. She's very exciting. She's already recorded a triple-double in this tournament thus far. And Central Michigan is definitely going to have their work cut out for them. But that side of the bracket looks like it's going to be exciting. So there's still, at this point, we got 3 number 1 seeds left on the women's side of things. And, looking forward. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'd be remiss. I left out Notre Dame, and no, this didn't come from a petty UConn place. I literally just overlooked them.
Yes,
I apologize. Man.
You see how you taking shots for no reason? I just said Gino don't come.
Hey, look,
that's all I said.
I'm not taking shots. And credit to Muffin McGraw for the job she's done this year. So many injuries. Notre Dame still secured the number 1 seed. And they're still they're still on schedule where they plan to be. But they're going to be taking on Texas A&M. It's going to be a great matchup. That's today at 4 o'clock. So that's all I have for you on the women's side of the bracket. I just want y'all to tune in and watch. You guys are missing something great.
I'm definitely watching. And on the men's side, in Sweet 16, the final day, Kansas beat Clemson, top seed. They beat Clemson 80-76. Malik Newman finished with 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. The next game, Villanova beat West Virginia in a heavyweight battle, 90-78. Jalen Brunson, 27 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, 8 of 15 shooting. I don't know why this guy is projected to be a second-round pick in a lot of mock drafts, but, I mean, to me, he's the best point guard in America. He has everything you need in a point guard. Duke handled their business in the battle of 2-3 zones against Syracuse, 69-65. Marvin Bagley, who's in the running for the top pick in the draft, definitely going to be high lottery. Finished with 22.7 rebounds on 8 of 12 shooting. And in a final game, Texas Tech, they handled business, beat Purdue 78-65. Keenan Evans finished with 16 points and 4 assists in that battle. So today, the first matchup, Elite Eight matchup, is Loyola Chicago, the Cinderella of the whole tournament right now.
Hey, some respect has to be. I've watched several of their games. Some respect has to be put on them. So for people who haven't watched them play, stop dismissing them. They play good basketball.
Yeah, no doubt.
And it's a team full of people who can pass and shoot. These are skilled players. I just enjoy watching them play, man. They play like somebody who's been there already.
And that's what happens when you got a lot of juniors and seniors, a lot of experience on that floor. Your Lola Chicago, they play Kansas State today at 6:09 p.m. And in the second Elite Eight matchup, Florida State takes on Michigan right after that game at 8:49. And then tomorrow you got Villanova versus Texas Tech at 2:20. And then the game, I'm pretty sure everybody want to see the Blue Blood matchup, Kansas versus Duke tomorrow at 5:05.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Oh, no doubt.
That's definitely gonna be fun. But you know what? I don't think I don't think Loyola Chicago's gonna be out of here early. I think they can advance.
We shall see, my man.
They can advance, man. Like, I really like how they play though. Like I really, you know what I'm saying? Like for an 11 seed, they look like they were the higher seed. They're just so calm and composed at all times.
Experience, man. But Kansas State got that too, so
yeah,
it's gonna be nice.
Yeah. So those are some primetime matchups that we just shared, both the men's and women's side of the bracket. So we're looking forward to both. And you guys, you know, we in the digital age. Y'all have the ability to watch several games at one time. Keep an eye on both sides of the brackets. That's all we asking on the women's and the men's side. All right, Cardell, rapid fire, sir. You know, can't skip it.
We'll start off with the Spurs, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they held the players only beating the ass Kawhi Leonard. You know, are you healthy to determine what's going on? You know, quoting reports, you know, got it kind of a little heated. You know, guys expressed their, you know, feelings. But is it fair or foul for the team to, you know, kind of call a meeting to see, you know, what's up with him?
I don't know how I feel about that because they were like also saw Danny Green hop on Twitter almost immediately after that story like got kind of noisy and saying, you know, you guys are just incorrect. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not really. If they called a meeting to see where he's at, cool. I heard Steven Jackson talk about this as well. I'm sure most people did as well. Talking about that, you know, it may have been a pop move to have, you know, the vets talk to him to see where he's at and everything like that. I mean, if he comes back, he comes back. But I'm kind of with Manu and what the mindset is. They need to play like he's not coming back so they can keep their edge. Right. If he comes back, that's a bonus. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But I'm just with Manu on all this. Like, I don't know how I feel about the meeting just because there's several different reports coming out. But I'm just with Manu. You got to play like he's not coming back so you don't lose your edge.
I mean, I feel like you should play that then regardless because you can only – it's about the guys that are, you know, suited up to play. You got to play with them. One aspect that I don't think a lot of people was looking at, and maybe that's why Tony Parker is kind of in the same way speaking out about it, is put it this way. If both those guys retired last year, they both first ballot Hall of Famers.
Right.
I think they all realized they had an opportunity because they were up a dub on the Warriors where they could have possibly got another championship, but Zaza happened, and it hurt Kawhi. Those guys returned in hopes of joining Kawhi and these guys to try to make that right.
Right.
They don't need this run. So I understand from their point of view, like, dog, look what we battle back from to try to come back. What's up with you? Like, what's the deal? Like, come clean. He said he's not right, but they're like, yo, we seeing you on the court. It looks well. Tony Parker, you going a step further saying, man, look, I had a 10 times, my coordinator was 10 times worse than you. And that's touchy because you don't question, that's basically questioning a man's heart.
Yep.
So that's a real touchy thing, but he feel obligated to call it out. We've never seen this come from the Spurs organization, at least.
We usually find nothing out about these guys, and immediately we hear about a players-only meeting from that organization.
So it's something going on. But I understand their frustration because, like, dude, we could have hung this up and went on if this was what it's going to be, especially if Kawhi chooses to leave. Then it's like, but at the same time, we can't worry about you. That's what it is. We're going to keep doing it. And I think a lot of it has to do, you know, the rumblings about who is new, who's running his career, business side of it, who's involved now, his family members and stuff. So it's like, what's all this? Because this wasn't there before. At all. So now it's a growing suspicion. I don't think it's fair. I think it's what needed to be happening. Yo, let's have a meeting. What is it? It's crunch time. What you going to do? Oh, you not right? We can't worry about him. Let's go on about our business. So, like you said, I'm like Manu. He ain't here. We got to worry about the guys that's here. Let's get it on and try to battle, do what we need to do. So, you know, I'm in the middle as far as that's concerned.
Oh, my bad. My last thing to add to it. And the reason why I think I'm kind of in the middle, just like you, is I understand what Tony's saying, but you know, for every player, like your body's your body. I don't really like crossing that line too much. Like even if structurally it might look right, if you don't feel right, I'm gonna be the last one to tell you what you need to do.
Oh yeah, that's touchy. That's why I said it's touchy.
Like yeah, so that's like I get everyone's points, but that's why like it's hard for me to just jump on one side here or the other, just because if you don't feel right, you don't feel right. And not to knock medicine and modern technology, it's not perfect. It's not fail safe. So
you're right, it's not. And we've seen more athletes go down now than prior. So what's going on? You know, so is it really advanced technology, or that's just what people saying? You know, so you know, just because you find cure for some things that in the past don't mean it's that much advanced. There's other stuff popping up. So
and nor does every case the same and everything work for everybody.
All right, no doubt. Eric Reed said he won't protest the anthem next season. Says he would try a different approach. Thoughts?
Okay, so I don't think he hasn't been signed because of that yet. I'm not ready to go there. I literally just think, okay, I don't think the safety mark. I think one safety got signed, so the safety market kind of really just opened.
Right.
Now, if we get to like the draft and post-draft, and Eric Reed doesn't have a job, all right, then you're gonna hear me with a different tone. Yeah, but as of right now, the safety market, like you got to be honest, like he's a good safety, but this is a deep class of defensive backs coming in.
Right.
Like even his younger brother's about to hit the NFL in this draft class right here, and Eric is a good player, but you know the market moves differently for different positions. Right. And right now, the deal that Honey Badger just got, he just signed with Houston for like $7 million. At this point, for whatever reason, because of all the nickel defenses and whatnot, the nickel and dime, I can't think of the word, but those type of defenses, right? Safety position is devalued a bit at this moment because some teams are playing with 3 of them on the field.
Right.
So if it was more traditional, where you're just playing with 2, you have a little bit more value because only 2 can be on the field at one time. Some teams are like 3 or 4 deep at that spot, and sometimes they'd rather have an extra safety than an extra corner. So I think it's just where the market's at the moment. Like I said, holler back at me in a little while. I might have a different view of this, you know, post-draft.
I think it got some symptoms to do with that, but I also really think about, I'm thinking about on another aspect that this is exactly why a lot of people question Kaepernick, and this has nothing to do with him, but question all these guys in football who took it, like, what are y'all really doing it for? Because, see, this is what they don't realize. You can't just do it now. And then I guess when a hype machine kind of dies down, you be like, I ain't going to do it no more. What has changed? So if you really behind this cause, why would you stop? Because what has gotten better? What has changed? Homeboy just got killed in Sacramento in his backyard, talking about his cell phone looked like a gun. Nothing has changed. So why are you talking about you're going to stop if that's really in your heart what you felt? So now I'm looking at him with a side eye along with a lot of other players because was it just really for show?
Right.
So
I mean, it's fair to question the motive.
Exactly, because nothing has changed.
It's fair to question it.
You see, Kaepernick, like, look, man, I'm here to play football if y'all want me, but I'm not about to change my position. It is what it is, and it still continues to happen. The bombings in Texas from FedEx packages, even though he killed himself, supposedly, allegedly. Come on now, they were all targeting us. So the same stuff is still happening. So what's the
significant amount of change that has happened for you to change?
Yeah, so now you talking about you don't want to do it. Okay, fine. So next time you try to make a stand, I can't take you serious because now you talking about you're going to stop. There has been no justice. Nothing has changed. Nothing has evolved. You know, and that's basically what I feel like the owners were doing. You know, we going to wait it out. We going to see. Because see, back in the day when all those athletes, Bill Russell, Jim Browns and all those guys, Ali and all that, when they was fighting, it didn't last one season. They did it. They had to do it for the majority of their careers.
You got to commit all the way to it.
So they're looking suspect to me. So,
and like I said, that is very fair. That is extremely fair. But again, they put themselves in that position when no one asked you to change your position. You shouldn't have to.
Come on, man. This is.
And secondly, the other thing is going to be, I don't believe that some of the players that still on the Niners are going to stop either. So again, if you were one of the leaders of those guys at that time last year, and that's why I'm anxious to see what happens later this year, where he gets signed or whatever, if Eric gets signed. I'm really anxious to see what happens in the San Fran side of things, because I don't think, he was one of the leaders in that locker room,
right,
especially in that regard. Is that going to stop or not? So,
man,
but like I said, I think it's incredibly fair for you to question it because of, like you said, what
he looks suspect right now. He does. So
it's beyond fair, sir.
Because nothing's changed. And the loss to the Pelicans, this for my Laker folks. Yeah, I'm looking at y'all. For the Laker folks, y'all been asking me, hyping it up. We about to get to it. I left the Ball family alone for a while. We got tired of that nonsense and all that. So we going, all right, but here's a legitimate question. In the loss to the Pelicans, Lakers point guard Lonzo Ball, he shot 2 for 15 from the field, 1 for 12 from 3. Should the Lakers look to the draft for another point guard? And I've had Laker fans hit me up like, man, we need to get another point guard. So I'm just asking the question.
All right.
No hate. Leave me alone.
All right. So if they do, I wouldn't be mad at it because you can technically get away with playing like 2 guard, Lonzo 6'6".
Okay, let me ask you this. Why not just keep Isaiah Thomas if that's the case?
Okay, so like in my opinion, I think if you keep Isaiah, then you lose Julius. I don't think Julius wants to keep hearing that.
I know they're going to – no, Julius priority. But it depends on what Isaiah asking for. I don't think he's going to get that bag that he probably would have got last summer. If he can
kind of come back to earth in terms of expectations what he gets, he's willing to take a good 6-man deal or whatever, then I'm cool with it. But I'm not ready, again, in ball fans, like ball fans, I think one of the big things is, like, as you talk about the scouting report, everyone got so enamored with his gifts, and there's nothing wrong with that. But similar to what we're seeing in Washington right here, sometimes when you're not able to create for yourself, it's good that you can create for others, but that you can't create for yourself.
Yeah, that's a detriment to the team,
it's a detriment right now.
4-5
and people don't get that. And that's just what I'm seeing. Is it something that's this offseason? You need to go work on a package for you to get a bucket for yourself. Because you can't at this moment, and that's why teams don't mind you jacking, because you're not going to hurt them. It's kind of like the LeBron thing. We'd rather have you shoot than pass. But LeBron's at a place where he can score. He can give it to you, whatever. Like, you got to pick your poison. And that wasn't always the case, but that's where he's at offensively. Lonzo has to get to that place because he's, like you said, you're playing 4 on 5 on offense if you just sag off and keep him out the lane.
Right. My position is the same. I never saw transcendent. Everybody get hyped up these days over the smallest thing. I never saw transcendent, but I see him being a good point guard.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll sneak into a couple All-Star games if he develops his offensive game down the road. He's actually improved defensively. His intangibles are crazy. Like, he has that, like, just, even some of the stuff, like, it might be a long rebound. Instead of just grabbing it, holding it, he'll quickly just tip it to Randall underneath the basket for. That stuff you can't teach. That's awareness and high IQ and all that stuff like that. But against that Pelican, I saw the last, few minutes where he got in the lane and had a layup, and guys were just coming to contest, and he had passed it right back out. You got to finish that. And then the Pelicans got to the point where, he don't want to shoot. So what they did? They would contest and kind of be like playing DB mode, waiting for him to throw it, and then they be right there to catch it.
You know what it's like? And it's so funny because he was on the court with Rondo at the same time. It's how people used to defend Rondo. Keep him out the paint, ask him to shoot.
Shoot a jumper, but he'll shoot layups.
No, but that's what I'm saying. To a degree, not the same. But like you said, with that soft contest and get back to play the pass, like, they're not even playing you to shoot. Yeah,
but that is still different because they were just Rondo. You just shoot jumpers. But if Rondo got in the paint, he's going to score in that bucket. Like, Lonzo's passing layups. And that's why people saying, look, man, we might have to start looking and whatnot.
I don't think they need to look for a new one yet.
I mean, not yet. But I have Laker fans telling me, hey, yo, like, especially with Jalen Brunson doing, they're like, I'll take him. So if you take Jalen Brunson, you think he coming in there? Like, he coming in there bad?
No, he coming to take a spot.
So that,
you take Jalen.
So, and that's why I was, at the beginning, I was like, yo, LeVar, be quiet. Because just because your son hot now don't mean next year at this time he will be as hot. And some point guard in college, from that college, is going to be hot. And Magic, at the very least, he's old school. He's about calm. So he gonna if he feels like that player is the best fit for the Lakers, he will bring that point guard in the battle.
Yes, he will.
And then you gotta hold it down. So that's how it used to be, man. So, we'll see. But jury's still out, man. Kansas State players were upset that John Calipari didn't shake their hands after they knocked off Kentucky. Do you have a problem with Coach Cal not shaking Kansas State hands?
Look, man, just to continue to go into this facade of amateurism and all this other stuff. Look, man, no, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter to me, not one bit. You should do it as a leader of men. I guess that's what you're supposed to do, but I just have a really cynical look on college basketball as is. It's more of a business to me than anything else. All coaches don't shake hands in the NBA. All players don't. I just literally don't care, but I'm not surprised by it.
I mean, I hear you. But business ain't got nothing to do with showing respect because
Yeah.
they definitely hoop and holler when they win. It was wrong. Like you said, in college, you're supposed to be leading men. You got young men. You got to teach them the right way. And when they get to the pros, they're adults and everything. They make their own decision. Then they live with that. But when you teaching, you definitely got to do that because I'm pretty sure the team they beat before Kansas State, they had no problem getting in line, shaking their hands.
Right.
So, you know, I saw the players line up and shake their hands, so that make him look even worse. And he just like, it's not that big of a
I didn't see that
deal.
the players shook their hands.
Huh?
So the players shook their hands and he did it.
Yeah, I saw Shilly is guilty. Like, they got a line. It's automatic. It's just showing respect. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you mad. Control that, John. What you mad? Like, you should be
So
mad
the
at
players
yourself.
did the grown-up thing and the coach didn't.
Huh?
So I said the players did the grown-up thing and the coach didn't.
Right.
Oh, see, now
But my
that's
thing is,
different.
and he tried to justify, but my thing is, show respect, dog. It is what it is. It's the rule. It's just like the unwritten rule in basketball. Somebody on the fast break going up for a dunk, you don't tackle them out the air, even though you can to save the bucket. Technically, you making a play to save your team, but you don't do that because you gonna hurt them and stuff like that. So do the right thing, man.
I retract my statement then. Nah,
you know what I'm saying? Business, man. Look, getting paid had nothing to do with.
I retract my statement. I thought like they didn't shake as a unit.
No, he was talking about they was jumping around. Isn't that what happens when y'all jumped around when y'all win?
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. I'm sorry. I retract my statement. That's trash.
Yeah, I definitely got a problem with that, man. It's just sore loser, you know. So
you can't do that.
But the players, yeah, the freshmen.
And you got a team full of kids, like kids.
PJ Washington missed all those free throws. You know he had a good game. Missed all those free throws. If he had made half of them, they win. He even went over there. So why wouldn't you do it?
That's a horrible example of leadership. So
that's my whole point.
earlier statement, sir.
Next question. New Eagle, right? Michael Bennett, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, y'all, we got to deal with, oh, man, Dan Damo shaking it.
Yeah.
I got my man Wallace, too. They loaded up, man. He said on an NFL team, in the locker room, you don't want a whole bunch of Russell Wilsons on your team. You need some rough riders like Marshawn Lynch or whatnot. Do you have a problem with the constant shots at Russell Wilson from former Seahawks?
Look, man, Seahawks fans, y'all go ahead and just accept this bullet. Y'all threw on the 1 yard line, all right?
Yes.
Ain't no coming back. You were playing, and you were playing with house money. You got one of the better NFL defenses in history against arguably the greatest quarterback ever. You gonna have to take these shots. This ain't going away. And as a Niner fan, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna justify every single one of these shots because it makes no sense. There's no coming back. There's no whining. There's nothing. It is exactly what happened, right? You had Marshawn Lynch, and you chose to throw. That's on you. You got to take this out.
Hey, homie.
Forever.
I will forever have in my head about that play, Richard Sherman face after. He was like,
ooh.
Like, it looked like his mom just got shot. That's how he looked like. Are you serious?
But you want to know what?
Disgust.
That was when the Seahawks broke up. That was the end of the LOB. It was at that moment.
And they can, but it's not the same.
Nope.
Because I would love, like, when they retire and the real stuff come out, I would love to know the fact that couldn't Russell Wilson have audible out of that? And like, even though Pete Carroll said that, look, we gonna run Marshawn, dog. Like, we ain't playing these games.
Or even if you wanted to run it yourself, did you have to throw that?
My point, even he still could have. I think they still would have got him, stopped him.
No, but that's cool. But it's better than that.
Mode.
Hey, look, it's better than the. There is like 5 other. You could have called a timeout and beef with your coach.
He's the poster child of that play. Forever.
But this is the thing. It's kind of like one of them things where it felt like the organization wanted Russell to be the face, right? And you had the LOB, and that defense was the face. Whether you liked it or not, you weren't going to make Russell the face over that defense.
I would say Marshawn was the face.
I think Marshawn was the face and the glue. Marshawn is what kept everything together. And when you did that was
he the one that started that run. Their run to get to that point when that crazy run against the Saints in the playoffs this year when he ran over their whole team.
And even in that game, you had that pass they threw down the sideline. He beats the linebacker, gets him all the way down there. You know, it was like 3rd down. There was no reason not to get that man the ball. That's where the Legion of Boom broke up. And this is what it cost you. You making a decision. And
that's sometimes when coaches outsmart themselves trying to be genius. They do it all the time. It's real simple. The game is simple. Get that man the ball. Now, if they stop him 3-4 straight times,
you know what? You live with yourself.
Live with
it. Hey, look, you live with yourself. You live with it and you go on about your life. And even then, your defense isn't going to be mad at you. And your defense probably would have got you a stop. But what you did, you broke their trust. Exactly. And then Sherman's talking about some of the injuries they played with through that game. Cam Chancellor may not be playing football again.
Or Earl Thomas always in there.
And Earl broke his leg and came back.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, Sherman was talking about the stuff not the Achilles, but like bone spurs and surgery. He put off surgeries to play. Like, and that's what we were saying. Like, you guys are
it's a lot of
risking our lives, and you threw away our contributions, our sacrifice, our hard work for that.
Try to be genius is overdue.
And it's just not what it does, man. But we want to thank you guys for tuning in so much. Get over to finestmag.com. Oh, you got one more? Sure.
One more.
Okay.
IMG guard Anthony Simmons will enter the NBA draft. Do you believe this will open the floodgates for preps to pros?
Okay, so I think he's going to end up in the G League this year.
The job?
Nah, I'm saying he's going to get drafted.
Right.
I'm saying he's going to spend most of the year in the G League.
Depends on where he gets drafted at. If he go in first round.
Well, that's true too. But I think it'll open up. I think it might open up that what's it called?
Eliminate the one and done rule.
Yes, it might open that up to put kids in the G League earlier, not going straight to the G League, but by way of getting drafted, is what I'm saying. Like, you'll get drafted. I don't expect all of you to play that first year, all 82 games up on the first team. I think you're gonna spend most of the season in the G League.
Okay.
But like you said, again, it depends on where you go. But I think that just for me personally, I think he's gonna spend most of the year in the G League.
I mean, he's a talented kid. I expect him to go, top 20 first rounds. Depending on what team he goes to. If he goes to a veteran team, he definitely will be down there developing because he's going to need a couple years to develop.
And that's all I'm saying.
Because he reminds me a lot of Monte Ellis when he first came in, so he definitely could do damage in the league. But if he goes to a bad team, he'll be playing sooner because look at the Suns.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it just depends on which team you go to. So, wait and see. But he's definitely talent worthy again, and he just got to learn the game and get physically ready for that grind because it's not easy.
And I guess that's all I'm saying. Where I'm coming from is coming out of IMG, you still gonna need prep to get ready to rumble with these men. So anxious to see where he goes. Hopefully, it's a good team so he can develop the right way. Versus the bad team, like you said, if it's a bad team he's playing.
Right.
No matter what.
To show you, man.
And that's all I want for him is get to a situation where you can develop at your own pace and be brought along when you need to
like
be.
Like DeJounte Murray, what they're doing with him.
Yeah.
Instead of going to Phoenix, like you in the fire, oh man,
And look how it's paid off for them, for the Spurs and DeJounte by taking your time. So.
And like Josh Jackson, man, I'm guarding Blake Griffin. He's my height, but he's 250. Yes, that's who's in the NBA. Yes.
Welcome to the league. So again, sorry for the premature exit close to the show, but here we are. Cardell, thank you so much. Namo, appreciate you. And to all you watching, we appreciate you guys for tuning in each and every week. Please continue to get over to finestbag.com, get over to mymonosports.com, and we'll see you next week at some point.
Saturday, the big show at Who's.
Oh, my bad. So next Saturday.
Yeah.
We won't see you here on the TV thing, but we will see you next Saturday at Oohs and Ahs at 8 p.m.
Yep.
For a 2-hour show, a little Final Four special. Should have some fun. We'll be streaming live. Follow us on social media for details.